Hello fellow cinephiles. Today I'm doing my top 10 films of 2018 video. So I'm going to look at the films I really thoroughly enjoyed in this year, and also there's a variety of films that are honourable mentions. So let's begin. Number 10, Halloween. I really liked this film and I thought it was a really great film. I think it's the best sequel we've had since the original film. I like the idea it negated all the other films and started afresh, and it tried to finish off a story that started in 1978. And I liked that Jamie Lee Curtis returned playing Laurie Strode, and we see her as a trauma victim, what she's been through since those events in Haddonfield 40 years ago. I like that Nick Castle came back to play the Shapes / Michael Myers. And I like that Carpenter came back with his son to do the music once again, to do the musical score, which is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed this. It wasn't perfect, there were issues with it, there was things I didn't like. I just had a big smile on my face all the way through this film, and it really was one of the best horrors I've seen in a long time, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Number 9, Isle of Dogs. Now, I'm a big fan of Wes Anderson, and I think he did a great job with this. I think this is his masterpiece in a way. I love the design of the stop motion animation. I think it looks fantastic. He spent 4 years making this film, and you can really tell. I liked all the voice acting. I like the story he had to tell. I like that he does films that are a bit different. It tells a different story. And I thoroughly enjoyed what he did here. And it's definitely one of the best films of the year, and I was thoroughly impressed with his ability to craft such an interesting story, but to tell such a great story as well. I think this film was absolutely brilliant. Number 8, Mission Impossible Fallout. I think this film was fantastic. I think it's one of the best action films of all time, and I think it's one of the best within the Mission Impossible franchise. I think it's epic. I think everything that transpired for Ethan Hunt and his crew throughout the other films has led to this point. I love the action sequences and how each one is bigger and better than the last. I think Christopher McQuarrie's done a brilliant job with this film, and it's the first real storyline that carries on to a second film. Tom Cruise is absolutely fantastic and does most of his own stunts, and some are really death-defying and shocking that he does, and it's quite extraordinary to see on screen. It's quite a powerful film. Number 7, Creed 2. I was surprised by this film. I didn't expect it to like it as much as I did. I hadn't gone back and watched the first one before I went in, but I really liked this. I thought Michael B. Jordan was fantastic in it. And the chemistry he has with Tessa Thompson and Sylvester Stallone is just fantastic. I love that Stallone wrote this. I love that it's sort of a sequel in a way to Rocky IV, and it's about fathers and sons. I like Ivan Drago reappears, and I think Dolph Lundgren's really great in it. And as they said, if this is the last time Stallone is going to play Rocky, this is a great way for him to go out. And I thoroughly enjoy this much more than I expected. Number 6, Hereditary. Now, I don't say this very often, but this film really freaked me out. It's quite disturbing and shocking and scary at times, and I've never felt quite as unsettled with any other horror film as I did with this film. I think this is a great debut for a first-time filmmaker, and I think he outdid himself with the story he wanted to tell. It's a drama wrapped in a horror film, and there's some shocking moments to have, and there's this unsettling feeling all the way through it that you're not quite sure what's going to happen next. Then when the horror elements start, or the thriller elements, it's quite shocking, and you don't really know where it's going. And it's so brilliantly done that I was so impressed with it this year. One of the best horrors of all time, I would go as far as to say. And Toni Collette is absolutely fantastic in this. She goes through every emotion you can think of and uses every acting trick that she's learned, and she's absolutely brilliant. And I'm surprised she's not nominated for a performance here, because I thought she was actually absolutely astonishing. Number 5, The Favourite. Now, as you've seen in my previous videos, Yorgos Lanthimos, I'm a big fan of his. I really liked all of his films, and I was blown away by this. Yes, it's a period piece. Yes, it has a lot of humour in it, but there's so much going on. I like the fact it's about 3 really strong females. It's about control and power, and then trying to battle each other to control each other and to sustain the life they want. And the length they go to is extraordinary. It's beautifully shot. It reminds me of Kubrick's Barry Lyndon. It looks really nice. I like the costumes in it. The acting is absolutely top notch. Emma Stone's brilliant, in the best she's been in a long time, I think. Rachel Weisz is brilliant as well. Olivia Colman is absolutely brilliant in it and does such a great job. It's the really first accessible film that he's done, the first studio film he's done, and it's the first time he hasn't written the script. But it has all his style and flair that he usually has in his film. He's being seen by a wider audience now, which I think is great because he's such a brilliant director, very creative and inventive, and has some really interesting ideas. And I think this is a great example of the ideas that he has that are different from the mainstream filmmaker, and I'm very impressed with this film. Number 4, The Black Klansman. I think this is Spike Lee's best film in a long time. I was really impressed with what he was able to accomplish with this. And I thought this was such an extraordinary but slightly unbelievable story, but everything that happened was true. And I think Spike's done a really fantastic job here. I think there's a lot of stuff in this film that's very relevant to what's happening in the world today and what was happening at the time that this film was released. And I just really love this. I love the period it's set in. I think all the acting is brilliant. John David Washington is absolutely fantastic, and I love to see more of him. He's more than Denzel Washington's son. He's such a solid actor, and he gives such a great performance here, and I think his collaboration with Spike is really fantastic. Adam Driver is brilliant, an actor. He's in my top 5 actors of all time. I think he's brilliant, and I love him in this, and he does such a great job. And the chemistry between him and John David Washington is absolutely brilliant, and they work really well together. It's wonderfully shot with some really great moments in it, especially there's a special scene which everybody would know if they've seen it, going down a hallway, which is absolutely brilliantly shot. And I really thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was really well done, and Spike should be impressed with himself. And I'd go as far as to say I think Spike might win Best Director for this film. Number 3, Under the Silverlake. This was a film I saw in Paris when I was overseas, and I really enjoyed this film. It's a follow-up film for the director of It Follows, and I think he's done a brilliant job here. It has every type of thing in it. It has drama, has comedy, has suspense, has horror, has action. It has a variety of things, and it's so well put together, and it's so uniquely different. Hence why it's on my list, because it's so different from anything else I've seen this year, and I was thoroughly impressed with it. I like the way it looked, the feel of it. I thought Andrew Garfield did a fantastic job. And I liked that there was a mystery and an unsettlingness feel throughout the whole film. I liked that Andrew Garfield played a character who was a bit of a slacker, who got swept up in this mystery and became a bit of an amateur sleuth, trying to work out what happened to a girl he just met who disappeared. And we go on the journey with him. He meets some really colourful people, and it shows what's just under the surface in LA and in Hollywood, that there's a darkness just there sitting below the surface. And he sort of tries to expose that as he goes along this journey. It's very creative and interesting. I don't know if it would be for everyone, but I thoroughly enjoyed it because it was different, and it just blew me away how great it really was. Now, I don't know if it's going to be released in Australia. I hope it is, but it may not be. But if you get a chance to see it, I highly recommend it. You'll thoroughly enjoy it, especially if you like something that's a bit different. Number 2, Old Man and the Gun. I think this was fantastic. David Lowery's done a brilliant job. I've been a fan of his for a while, since Ghost Story, and I really liked the films that he makes, very simple stories but well told. He's a real storyteller, and his films are so simple but engaging and interesting and unique, and he has a different way of telling stories, and this is a great example of that. There isn't anything in this film that doesn't serve a purpose. Nothing is wasted and is not used. Everything, it contributes to telling the story, and I really like that about this. I think it's a great film for Robert Redford to go out as an actor, as his last film. I think he gives great performances, and I think all the performances he's given in his career lead to this one. It's a very nice and sweet and simple story, just beautifully told, and I was really impressed with this film. Okay, before I get to my number 1, I just want to talk a little bit about honourable mentions, films that came out that were close to being on my list but didn't, or films that were on my list that I took off due to other films. Now, at the start of the year, my favourite film to begin with was Ready Player One. I thought this was brilliant, and I liked the fact that Spielberg came back and it really felt more like the fun Spielberg, the entertaining Spielberg that I grew up on, and I really enjoyed that about this film. I liked the quest in it, I liked the characters, and I just got swept up and I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and like I said, it was very close to being on my top 10. Another film I thoroughly enjoyed that didn't quite make it either was Bad Times El Royale. I thought Drew Goddard made a very interesting film. I love films about motels set in the middle of nowhere. I like films set in the 60s. I like the mystery element. I like events transpiring at a particular location, and we get to see that from different points of view. And I thought it was unique and different. It was very close to being in my top 10. I think Boy Erased was another brilliant film. Joel Edgerton made a really fantastic, harrowing and powerful film that nothing was wasted in this film. Everything served a purpose towards the story. And Lucas Hedges does a really great job, so does Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe, and I thoroughly enjoy this film as well. Another film was The Quiet Place. I really liked this. I think John Krasinski did a really great job at writing and directing this. I like that the silence in this film was a major player in it. I like the sci-fi element. I like the family who are trying to survive with all these crazy things happening. I like that it was a post-apocalyptic world. And I like that they'd learned to survive in a certain way with everything that was transpiring for them in this world now. There's a deaf actress in it who is absolutely fantastic. They were just some honourable mentions. Anyway, my number one film of 2018 is A Star Is Born. I absolutely love this film. I first saw it in Paris when it first came out, and it hadn't been as hyped as it turned out to be, and I was really blown away by it. I think Bradley Cooper made a really great film. It's such a great debut for a film. Yes, it is a remake, and the fourth or fifth within that sort of storyline, but what he was able to accomplish this was fantastic. His acting is brilliant. It's the best acting he's ever done in his career, and I think he's fantastic in it. I love he learned to play the guitar and he learned to sing. He wrote a lot of this and he directed in such a great way. He really puts you into the film, immerses you in it. There's a lot of close-up shots. It's a very intimate story, and then you're part of this intimate story. Lady Gaga is absolutely fantastic in this film. It's her first real solid It's the first real acting role she's had as a lead in a film, and I think she's brilliant. I like that she crafted this character, and she wrote all the songs as the character, not as Lady Gaga. And she sort of stripped herself bare and stripped away all the things that she usually uses in the persona, and just had her playing such a wonderful character that you could really get behind, and you really wanted to see her succeed and to become the singer she wanted to be. And what I really also loved is the love story in this film. It was really about these two people finding love in the most difficult of circumstances. She's on her way in, he's sort of on his way out, and he's been affected by things through his life, and I've really got a sense of that. And there's great chemistry between these two. And to watch Lady Gaga sing, not in her usual singing voice, but as a character, I think she did a fantastic job. Sam Elliott's another standout in this film. I think he's brilliant. There's so many scenes where he doesn't say anything but is so powerful and effective. And I'm very surprised that Sam Elliott wasn't nominated for the Golden Globes. I really hope he's nominated for the Oscars because he's really fantastic in this. All the music and the concert stuff is really loud, as if you're part of the concert, as if you're part of that world, which I really enjoyed. Yes, I guess I'm jumping on the bandwagon with everybody else who enjoy this, but I just still think this was the best film of the year. Anyway, that's my list for 2018. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.